I've now changed back to sequence 1, and right at the beginning, we positioned some still images, and directly after these still images, the first clip appears with audio. I'll look at this. Yes, and here we can see that suddenly the moving image appears with audio, and I'd quite like a soft transition, both for audio and for video. With the knowledge we have, we would assume that I could use a normal transition here. So I'll go to my user dissolves and choose a transition that lasts for 2 seconds. And I'll place this here on the video section. And one could assume that the audio would also be blended. I'll let go of the transition, and we can see that only the video section has a transition. Let's look at it now. Yes, and it is like that. Only the video has a transition. Now, I could try and position an audio crossfade directly onto the clip. So I'll go to the audio crossfades, choose this linear out in, and try and position it at the beginning of my clip. And we can see that this isn't possible. It tries to position itself to where 2 clips meet. So it appears that video and audio transitions can only be positioned where 2 clips butt up to each other. This is of course a shame, as I'd quite like my audio to fade in, and it doesn't seem to work with the audio crossfade option. However, of course, there is a function that allows us to do this, and I'd like to look at this now. So we go back into our track header, and in the audio section of the track header, when it is expanded, so I'll close it and expand it again, we can see that there is an option here which appears under this button labeled volume / pan. If I click on it, it becomes active, and we can see vol for volume. And if I look in the clip, we can see that a line has appeared, and this line is nothing else other than the volume for my clip. If I click once again on the button, then the panorama line is shown. But I don't want to discuss this right now, so I'll choose the volume line. So click until vol appears once again, and now we can see what we can do with this line. To start with, each clip has 2 points, a start point and an end point. If I move towards the start point with my mouse, then the mouse pointer is changed to a cross. And if I click with my left mouse button, I can adjust this start point. If we look down here at the status bar, we can see what is happening, and the change in volume is shown in decibels and percents. This is the volume of our clip relative to the 0 decibel point. So I can move it up 8,4 decibels, or I can lower it to an infinite reduction in volume. This means the volume is 0. The same goes obviously for the end point. So if I adjust the point at the end of the clip, we can also see that the volume slopes off down to 0. So we're coming close to the results I want, but it's not quite exactly what I need. I'll reset everything, and I can do this by using the right mouse button. I click on the line, then we see that the context menu has the option Initialize All. So I'll choose this, and the volume line is reset to 0 dB. What I want is the fade in, but not over the entire length of the clip. That means I actually need a further control point on this line. And we can see that when I move the mouse over this line, we can choose a point by clicking on the line, as the mouse pointer has turned into a plus symbol. So if I click, we get a new control point. Now what I can do is adjust the starting control point, and in so doing, the volume fade only changes from the start point to my newly positioned point. So I'll play this. Yes, and we can see that's actually what I want. In the first clip, the volume is faded up softly. If I want it to last longer, then I simply have to move the second control point somewhat to the right. I can simply do this by clicking on it and dragging it to the right. One thing I have to be aware of, though, is that I may adjust it vertically, and that would mean that the volume is adjusted. And I don't actually want this, so I'll undo. And we do have an option. If I click on the point and then hold the Shift key, I can't actually adjust the point vertically. I can only adjust it in a horizontal manner. So, by moving it horizontally, I can adjust it to a new time position without adjusting the actual volume. I'd also like to do the same thing at the end of my film. So I'll go to the end of my timeline, and as volume mode is active for this track, I can already see the volume line. I'll create a new point so that I can lower the final point in our video. And then I also have a fade out of the audio. I'd quite like it a little bit longer, so click on the point, drag it to the left whilst the Shift key is held down, and then the fade is somewhat longer.